Chapter 1 The Spirit and the Spatula. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, verse 14. You know how people say, "Hey, shut the door. Were you raised in a barn?" Well, I really was raised in a barn, but I do shut the door after myself, usually. I grew up in the East Texas piney woods, literally in a barn. The living situation was supposed to be only temporary, of course. We thought we'd live in the barn on the property until our family's ship came in, and then our house would quickly be built. For 17 years, we waited on Providence to provide, but that ship never did come in. Houses, I learned, rarely build themselves. That barn was completely exposed to the elements. The summers were sweltering, and it wasn't uncommon for a snake to be found in the shaded corner of a room. One summer, a hive of bees paused their migration and spent 3 days in the rafters. Winters, conversely, were colder than your fridge. One of my first jobs was mowing. It always struck me as odd. At first, I thought mowing the grass around the barn would keep the grasshoppers out of the living areas, but it didn't. The barn was surrounded by acres of knee-high grass, and cutting the grass didn't keep the critters out. In fact, many of them would jump towards the barn to avoid the blade. But what else does one do with so much grass and time? In those early years, as I worked our 15-acre yard, something surprising happened. A bond grew between me and the Lord. As I mowed, I worshiped and I listened, and God met me in my work. A relationship grew out of a seemingly pointless task, and that made all the difference in what I was doing. It might be hard to believe about a young boy in yard work, but I actually began to look forward to cutting paths in the wilderness, to spending that work time with God. It was an exodus for an East Texas boy. Years later, after I left that wilderness and had some business success, the Lord met me again in a profound way. He showed me a vision. It was as if I was looking up and saw a wide television in the air. In the vision, he revealed he had a plan for the house of which our family had dreamed. His idea of home and happiness had never changed. As the vision unfolded, I was taken from South Lake, Texas, back to the old slab where our country home should have been. The grass was uncut and everything looked elemental. Suddenly, a man appeared with a huge hammer. He walked up, held his hand out towards me, and said, "Give me the plans and I will build the house." The man was stoic and resolved, ready for action and my answer. But in the vision, I couldn't speak. "Give me the plans," he repeated, "and I will build the house." In the blink, the vision ended, and I was back in South Lake. The point was simple. God wanted to complete the good work he had started, to build on a foundation that was already laid. But this good work would require real stewardship, not simply doing work for its own sake. His promise was to do the building, but I had to begin the work myself. So, let's get to work.